What's up with it, y'all? So yeah, we in here talking about the Black Vikings, and we're gonna play a couple videos, and then I want y'all to give me your opinion on it. And if you want to come and talk about it in the live with me, then let's do that, because it's gonna be a topic that I want to talk about more than once. But we're gonna look into some of these videos that I was looking at. So I can share it with y'all.
Writing Assistant can help you write, communicate, and work more effectively on any task. It checks your grammar, spelling,
Shout out
and
to the mail.
punctuation,
Free
helping you
use,
write fluently
educational
and
purposes.
accurately. Writing Assistant also generates comments and replies when participating in discussions.
And it says here, The Races of Europe, a Sociological Study. Lowell Institute Lectures by William C. Ripley, Ph.D., Assistant Professor of Sociology, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that's MIT. Lecturer on Anthropology at Columbia University in the city of New York, all right? Can we give him a little credit? It was like, what do you mean? But that's the white man. That's the white man. Well, the white man's letting you know. The white man's letting you know that Europe was all Swarty. A new phase of the matter was presented by Broca's celebrated researchers concerning the physical characteristics of the French people in the decade following 1860, especially those among the peasants in Brittany. Here were the only Celtic-speaking people on the continent, and they were of a brunette and short race. Then in 1865 came the monumental work of Davis Interment, the Crania Britannia, with added proof that a large part of the Celtic-speaking population of the British Isles, particularly the Welsh, were equally short and of a dark complexion, short and dark. Broca and Beddoe, among anthropologists, at once grasped the situation. They perceived the inconvenience attendant upon the use of the term. Nevertheless, the advocates of the old view of tall blonde Celts still counted eminent authority among their number, such as von Baer with his and Roofmeyer. All right? Again, another source letting us know, right? Dark complexion. Europeans. As early as 1868, Durand de Grosse noted that in Aveyron, one of the southern departments lying along the borders of mountainous area, the populations of the region thereabout were strongly differentiated. On the cavernous plains, the people were taller, of light complexion, with blue or grayish blue eyes, and having fine teeth. In the upland areas of the granitic formation, the people were stunned, dark in complexion, with very poor teeth. The hypothesis of an Iberian substratum of population in Britain proved that long before the advent of the Saxons, several distinct physical types coexisted in Roman Britain. One of these, he tells us in the 11th chapter of his Agricola, was the Caledonian, red-haired and tall, that of the Silures in southern Wales, with a dark complexion and curly hair. He also notes the similarity in appearance between the southern Britons and the Gauls, and suggests a Germanic origin for the Caledonians, an Iberian one for the Welsh, and a Gallic one for the English. This is possibly all that he said upon the subject, never having been in the country. Then Jornandes, an early Italian commentator, added fuel to the flame by amending Tacitus' words concerning the Silures of Wales, giving them not only dark complexion but black curly hair. Such were the humble beginnings of the Iberian hypothesis, notwithstanding which it has passed current for generations, as it is founded upon the broadest array of facts. What if we should conclude that the assumption is correct in the light of modern research? All right, in the light of modern research. One more facial type needs to be mentioned. It is monist in Kent and in the Isle of Wight. It is generally ascribed to Jutish ancestry from Jutland. That's Jutish from Jutland, Denmark. two upper portraits of page 316 represent this adequately enough. These people are darkish in complexion. The principal peculiarity in their convexity of profile from chin to forehead. The lips are rather thick. The nose is difficult to describe, unless we can agree to call it Jewish. What explanation can be offered for the curiously unteutonic population which seems to fringe the coast of Norway, especially central in the southwest? It is unattainable hypothesis, as in fact Nielsen found it is to ascribe this to the persistence of a substratum of lapse from the Stone Age. These people, to be sure, are characterized by all traits noted in the southwest of Norway, and this moreover to an extraordinary degree. They are almost dwarfed in stature. They are dark-haired and swarty, right? Swarty, and as our two portals illustrate, they are broad-headed to an extreme. Our second physical type of the Russian Aborigines, all right, now we're talking about the Russian, is the polar extreme from this long-headed red-blonde one. We may follow it in our map of the black tints, indicating a prevalent broad-headedness. This is best exemplified at the two extremes of Russia, in the lap of the northwest and the Kalmuk and Kursk hordes of the Caspian steppes. The Samoyeds are merely a continuation of the lap type towards Asia along the Arctic. These people correspond closely to what we popularly regard as Mongolian. All right, so listen up. The Mongolians, they are all what? All dark or black-haired with swarty skins. All right, the Aborigines, the Russians, because the Mongolians are really Russians. They're Russian Aborigines. Genghis Khan's real name is Georgy Danilovich. He was Russian. These hordes, these Mongolian hordes with these golden hordes, these Russian armies that were invading. All right, and this guy Georgy or Genghis united these Russian armies, or these kingdoms, what they call it, the story they call it. But these Mongolians, even Genghis Khan was very swarty, very dark-skinned. We are strengthened in this assumption that the earliest Europeans were not only long-headed but also dark-complexioned. By various points in our inquiry thus far, we have proved the prehistoric antiquity of the living Cro-Magnon type in southwestern France, and we saw that among these peasants, the prevalence of black hair and eyes is very striking. In comparing types in the British Isles, we saw that everything tended to show that the brunette populations of Wales, Ireland, and Scotland constituted the most primitive stratum of population in Britain. Furthermore, in that curious spot in Garfagnana, where a survival of the ancient Ligurian population of northern Italy is indicated, there are also other people characteristically dark. Judged therefore either in light of general principles or of local details, it would seem as if this earliest race of Europe must have been very dark. It was Mediterranean in its pigmental affinities and not Scandinavian. All right, and continues on the islands of the Shetlands, and the Orkneys and Hebrides. The case was much the same. Here the Aborigines were often entirely replaced by purely Scandinavian population. Such a family with strongly accentuated Norwegian peculiarities is depicted on this page. Its contrast with the Aboriginal dark population. In contrast again with the Aboriginal dark population. The old black breed needs no comment. The old black breed, the Aboriginal dark population. All right, it says here, Fitzner observed the same phenomenon in Alsace, whereas in Britain, a dark population has been overrun by a Teutonic one. So striking was the contrast here that even ascribes it to real sexual peculiarity. One detail of our map confirms us in this opinion that a primitive dark population in these islands, now mainly of Celtic speech, has been overlaid by a lighter one. Notice the strongly marked island of brunettes just north of London. Two counties, Herefordshire and Buckinghamshire, are as dark as Wales, and others north of them are nearly as unique. Alright, it says the three main physical types in Scotland are well represented by our portraits at page 324. The upper pair, raw-boned and red-headed, is familiar enough, as also the equally tall, heavily built but dark type illustrated in our Moray and Inverness subjects. The middle pair, the little dark men, are representative of probably the oldest element of all in Scotland. Alright, who? The little dark man in Scotland. This corresponds closely to Silures of Wales or the small dark firtfolks west of Shannon in Ireland. The curly hair shown in both our examples is, I am informed by Dr. Beto, very common among men of this type. Alright, so curly little dark men. The presence among the Russian people themselves of a medium-statured, dark-complexioned, and broad-headed majority is acknowledged by all that this represents the original Slavic stock. Slavic was dark complexion. You're talking about Slavs, slaves started with white. No, you gotta understand there was also dark-skinned Slavs. Originally, the original Slavics were dark complexion. All right? It's certainly the most logical direct inference. It is, in the opinion, tacitly at least accepted by most of the English writers. All right? That's what is accepted by almost all English writers. All right? Direct evidence as to the former coloration of the Slavs is very scanty. The testimony of the old travelers like Abraham ibn Jakub as to the black hair and the beards of the Czechs, contrasted with the Saxons deduced by Dr. Beto in favor of a dark Slavic origin, is contested by Niederli. The English Jews seem to also to be slightly lighter than their continental brethren, even despite their presumably greater portion of Sephardim, who are supposed to be peculiarly dark, all right? Because the Sephardi Jews of Spain and Portugal, they are dark complexion people. As to the relative red blondness of Oriental Jews, the early observation of Dr. Beto and those of Lagerhams, as to the blue eyes and red-brown hair of the Druses of Lebanon, while substantiated by some observers, is controverted by Jacobs and others, perhaps as Dr. Beto suggests, a cross with the blonde Amorites may count for the phenomenon. At all events, the living Semites are dark enough in type, and all evidence of sacred books bears out the same theory of an original dark type. Thus, black and hair are commonly synonymous in the early Semitic languages.
Okay. So far we see that not only was what y'all would think of as what you say, what Africans, were they the known people, but it was other people that was known to be dark skinned, black skinned. It's the keywords that you gotta watch out for. You know what I'm saying? It's like they change these words so much. That's where you get lost. Let's get into the rest of it. Kieran Mayo, he a good person to his videos as far as knowledge on being Aboriginal, different things like that. You want to check him out for sure. So go add Kieran Mayo if you haven't. And two, I want y'all to tell me what y'all think. We're not gonna play the whole video, just a little bit.
Early Semitic languages. All right. It says origin of the Anglo-Saxon race, a study of the settlement of England and the tribal origin of the Old English people, by the late Thomas William Shore, author of a history of Hampshire, etc., honorary secretary, London and Middlesex Archaeological Society, honorary organizing secretary of the Hampshire Field Club and Archaeological Society, edited by his sons T.W. Shore and L.E. Shore. This is from 1906. We're all the way in chapter 6. It says Rugians, Wends, and tribal Slavonic settlers. Now it says here that the name Wends was given by the old Teutonic nations of Germany to those Slavonic tribes who were located in the countries east of the Elbe and south of the Baltic Sea. It isn't the same as the older name used by Ptolemy, who says that the Wendnedai are established along the whole of Wendish Gulf. Tacitus also mentions the Venedi. There can therefore be no doubt that these people were seated on the coast of Mecklenburg and Pomerania before the time of the Anglo-Saxon settlement. That there were some differences in race between the Wends of various tribes is probable from the existence of such large tribes among them as the Wiltzi and the Obodriti, who in time of Charlemagne formed opposite alliances, the former with the Saxons, the latter with the Franks. The Wends who still exist in Lower Saxony are of a dark complexion. They're of a dark complexion and are the same stock as the Sorbs or Serbs of Serbia. They are Slavonic, but many tribes of Slavonic descent are fair in complexion, so many of them are light-skinned. Procopius tells us that those Vandals who were allies of the ancient gods were remarkable for their tall stature, pale complexion, and blonde hair. It is therefore by no means improbable that the ancient Slavic tribes of the Baltic coast were distinguished by differences in complexion. So they're letting you know that there was different types of Slavic people. There was light-skinned Slavics and dark complexion. Must be more original.
So just like now, like if you go anywhere, some places is remote and it's nothing but a certain type of person there. People, I mean. So yeah, that's true. But for the most part, when you go to places, you're gonna see a certain type of person, but you're gonna see different shades of them.
The same migratory movement in lesser degree appears to have extended even into England, bringing into our country some Slavonic settlers, probably in alliance with Saxons, Angles, Goths, and other tribes, and some later on in alliance with.
Now that's where you get the knowledge that we trying to give to you with the Saxons and these different peoples they just got through naming. These is the these are the people that y'all know of as who became the Vikings, who were the Vikings at a certain time. But even when you look into their knowledge, they tell you always look at the origin of a group to always be able to look at it. You go to where their first stories is and where they said they came from, they people came from, their ancestors came from. And a lot of times, what y'all would say are y'all scholars, they're gonna skip clean past that on purpose.
Danes. The existence of separate large tribes among the Wends is probable evidence of racial differences, and the alternative names they had are probably those by which were known to themselves and to their neighbors. The remnant at the present time of the dark complexioned Wends of Saxony, who called themselves Sorbs, alright, shows that there must have been some old Wendish tribe of similar complexion from which they are descended, as the country anciently occupied by the Wiltzi included Brandenburg and the district around Berlin. It joined the limits of ancient Saxony. On the west, there is evidence arising from the survivals, alright? So it says here, chapter 7 in the same book, our darker forefathers, alright? One of the facts concerning the color of the hair and eyes of the people in different countries of England at the present time, brought to light by scientific observations, is that there is a higher percentage of people of mixed brown type living in Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Wiltshire, and Dorset than in most other counties, except those in Cornwall and on the old Celtic borders. The inhabitants of these countries are the darkest. This is usually explained on the supposition that in the process of the Saxon settlement.
And also, I believe that they said that the Vikings was children of Canaan too, or something like that. I'm gonna go back and look into it, but well, you know what that's gonna mean anyway, if that's what they was, or something like they got their ways from the Canaanites. But either way, still the same people. Y'all know who these Canaan, Ham, and you know where that's going.
Of British population was allowed to remain in these parts of England, which in the course of centuries became mixed with inhabitants of Anglo-Saxon descent, and consequently the present population is more marked than those of pure descent by brown, hazel, or black eyes with brown, chestnut, dark brown, or black hair. The counties of Hertford and Buckingham have people as dark as Wales. All investigation goes to show that this brunette outcrop is a reality. Bedell found that the area in which there is a larger percentage of brown people in England extends from the River Lee to the Warwickshire Avon. In dealing with the circumstances of the settlement, these ethnological facts must receive consideration. Alright. The survival of British population is a possible explanation and the one which appears to be the most natural. As there are some difficulties in this conclusion, the question arises, is there any other way in which the origin of these mixed brown people, surrounded by others of a somewhat fairer complexion, can be explained? An alternative explanation is that people of darker race may have come with the Angles, Saxons, or Danes and have settled largely in these parts of the country. There is circumstantial evidence that people of brown or dark complexion did come into England during the time of both the Saxon and the Danish settlements, and this may now be summarized. All right, so it says that this consideration of the probable origin of the great proportion of brunettes.
Now you're gonna hear them names. You're gonna hear them names a lot too. These specific kingdoms, people, groups of people.
In two of the South Midland counties of England leads us to that of color names as surnames and place names, which may probably have been derived from the original settlers. For example, there is in the common name Brown. All right, Brown. This has been derived from the Anglo-Saxon Brun. All right, Brun. So remember, what I showed that Bruin and Dutch Bruin is black. Bruin. So like the hockey team in Boston, the Boston Bruins was basically talking about people of color or the black Bostons, basically Bostonians. You know, the Bruins, the Boston Bruins. All right, Bruin. Bruin is brown or brown complexion people. Hockey was invented by American Indians. They were talking about American Indians who are brown complexion. Again, signifying brown. It is not reasonable to doubt that when our forefathers called a man brun or brown, they gave him this name as a descriptive of his brown complexion. This probability that the brunettes were common is supported by the frequent references to persons named Brun and Anglo-Saxon literature. Brun was a name not confined to England in the Anglo-Saxon and later periods. On the contrary, we find that it was a common name in ancient Germany. The typical place name Bruninga Feld occurs in a charter of Etelstan dated AD 938, and local Q Bruninga Feld Disitor. Brunsham Hans is mentioned in a charter of Edward the Elder about AD 900. So it says, as regards the ancient brown race or races of North Europe, there can be no doubt of their existence in the southeast of Norway and in the east of Friesland. There can be no doubt about the important influence which the old Wendish race has had in the northeastern parts of Germany and transmitted to their descendants a more brunette complexion than prevails among the people of Hanover, Holstein, and Westphalia, of more pure Teutonic descent. We cannot reasonably doubt that in view of such survival of brown people as we find at the present time in the provinces of North Holland, Drenthe, and Overijssel, which form the hinterland of the ancient Frisian country, numerous brunettes must have come into the England among the Frisians. It says the consideration of the evidence that people of brunette complexions were among the Anglo-Saxon settlers in England leads on to that of people of a still darker hue, the dark black or brown black settlers. Probably there must have been some of these among the Anglo-Saxons, for we meet with the personal names Blackman, Blakeman, Blackaman, Blackasunu, Blacka, and Blatchiman or Blageman in various documents of the period. All right, Blacka was an ealdorman of Lindsey who was converted by Paulinius. Blackman was the son of Eldric, a descendant of Ida, ancestor of Elhred, king of Bernicia, and so on. The same kind of evidence is met with among the oldest place names. Blackenberg is mentioned in Anglo-Saxon charter. Blackmanstone was the name of a place in Dorset, and Blackmanstone that of a place in Kent. Blackenshell. There's another old word used by the Anglo-Saxons to denote black or brown black, the word swart. All right, we know that, the Swarty, right, swart. The personal name Swart or Swart may have been derived from this word, the Saint Stewart, right, the Stewarts, Swart, Swart, which means black. So this word may be derived from that and may have originally denoted people of a dark brown or black complexion. Some names of this kind are mentioned in the Domesday record of Buckinghamshire and Lincolnshire. These may be of Scandinavian origin, for the economy or nickname Swarty is found in the northern sagas. Halfdan the Black was the name of King of Norway, who died in 863. The so-called black men of the Anglo-Saxon period probably included some of the darker Wendish people among them, immigrants or descendants of people of the same race as the ancestors of the Sorbs of Lausatia. All right, so I know I'm reading and I hope people's understanding, but letting us know that there was black Anglo-Saxons. So like people try to say, like Benjamin F. Franklin earlier saying, oh, the only white people are the Anglo-Saxons. Well, some of them were, but not all of them were. All right, it says, and the ancestors of the Sorbs of Lausatia on the borders of Saxony and Prussia at the present day. Some of the darker Wends may well have been among the black Vikings, all right? Black what? The black Vikings referred to in the Irish annals. Black Vikings, all right? Isn't this really Vikings? Because if we break down those letters, and we separate the V and the I, it becomes 6 kings. We put a space in between those, and we look at it like Roman numeral, the 6 kings, the Vikings, the 6 kings. Again, the black Vikings referred to in the Irish annals as well as in those of Wales. It may have been the people who have left the Anglo-Saxon name Black Man or Bergi, which occurs in one of the charters, Blackmanstone on the Kentish coast and Blackmanstone on the Dorset coast. As late as time of the Doomsday Survey, we meet with records of people apparently named after their dark complexions. In Buckinghamshire, Blakeshiman, Swartinus, the Swartiness, right? And others are mentioned in Sussex, one named Black in Suffolk, Blackemanus and Swartigungus, and others at Lincoln. The invasion of the coast of the British Isles by the Vikings of a dark or black complexion rests on historical evidence which is too circumstantial to admit of doubt. All right, this scholar from all these historical societies is letting you know black Vikings, right? Dark-skinned Vikings. There's too much historical evidence, which is too circumstantial to admit of doubt, all right? He's already letting you know it's too much evidence. But what happened throughout history? What did they teach us? All this circumstantial evidence that he knew about. This is from the 1800s, right? So why didn't they teach us that there were black Vikings? Why did they always show white Vikings? All right, in the Irish annals, the black Vikings are called Dub Genti, or black Gentiles. These black Gentiles on some occasions fought against other plunderers of the Irish coast known as the Fair Gentiles, who can hardly have been others than the Fair Danes or Northmen. During the year 851, the black Gentiles came to Athcliath, Dublin, example Dublin. So that's the name, Dublin. In 852, we are told that 8 ships of the Finn Genti arrived, talking about black Vikings, and fought against the Dub Genti for 3 days, and that the Dub Genti were victorious. The black Vikings appear at this time to have had a settlement in or close to Dublin, and during the 9th century were much in evidence on the Irish coast. In 877, a great battle was fought at Loch Cuan between them and the Fair Gentiles, in which Alban, chief of the black Gentiles, fell. He may well have been a chieftain of the race of the northern Sorbs of the Mecklenburg coast. There is still another way in which men of black hair or complexions may have come into England. As Strauss among the Norse invaders in his translation of Orosius, King Alfred inserts the account which Other, the Norse mariner, gave him of the tribune in skins, eiderdown, whalebone, and ropes made from whale and sealskins, which the northern Finns now called laps, paid to the Northmen. Their descendants are amongst the darkest people of Europe, and as they were thralls, some of them may have accompanied their lords. The Danes and Norse, having the general race characteristics of tall, fair men, must have been sharply distinguished in appearance from Vikings, such as those of Jomborg, for many of these were probably of a dark complexion. There's an interesting record of the descent of a dark sea rovers of the coast of North Wales in the annals of Cambria under the year 987, which tells us that Gothric, son of Harold, with black men, devastated Anglesey and captured 2,000 men. Another entry in the same record tells us that Meredith redeemed the captives from the black men. This account in the from the observances of their forefathers. Okay, so this is another screen. So it says, so they slew both the black and fair Hawalt, whose names in subsequent Christian time were and still are held in high honor in Westphalia. It is a touching story and one that tells us more than the devotion inspired by Christians sealed to risk their lives, which these missionaries showed for the conversion of men of their own race. For as their names indicate, they bore in their different complexions evidence of the existence of the fair and the dark people amongst the Anglo-Saxon stock. All right, both colors, complexions. Weringa or Werinch is Hertfordshire, the probable connection of the Wends, some tribes of whom which are the source are known to have been dark, with parts of the Germany near Brunswick and with parts of herds and bucks is shown by these names. Domesday Book tells us Huscarls in Buckinghamshire and a people who bore such names as Swarty, Suart or Suan, Suart, and Swart among its landholders, and it is difficult to avoid the conclusion that such names refer to people of dark complexions. All right, if they got last names like Seward, Stewart, Seward, all right, it's hard to avoid that they have dark complexions. Among the Lamens of Lincoln, a very Danish town, there were also apparently some so-called Danes of a dark complexion. All right, who's the Danes? In Hampshire, however, we do not meet with general blunt type. Of the New Forest district, Mackintosh says, the New Forest is inhabited by a mixture of races which almost defy classification. The complexion in general being dark. In general being what? Dark. And this prevalence of dark complexion people among the inhabitants of the New Forest district is still apparent. It is in parts of Wiltshire and Dorset. The same ethnological observer, Mackintosh, also says, in the Middle and North Hampshire, the people in general belong to a dark complexion race. I have heard the opinion expressed that they are Wends, or a Belgic tribe of Wendish extraction. The present writer is not able to regard the dark complexion type as being largely race. The latter cells are not characterized by this head form. The survival among living people here and there of representatives of the broad-headed type is an interesting ethnological circumstance. As might be expected, it is chiefly in the most mountainous part of England, in the remote parts of Cumberland, that traces of this race may still be met with. The type is, according to Beddoe and Ripley, marked by being above the average in height, generally dark in complexion, the head broad and short, the face strongly developed at the cheekbones, grown or beetle-browed, the development of the bow ridges being especially noticeable in contrast with the smooth, almost feminine softness of the Saxon forehead. And right here we have Riddles of Prehistoric Times by James H. Anderson. And he says the Basques are of middle size, compactly built, robust, and agile, of a darker complexion than the Spaniards. So the Spaniards are dark, remember. So the Basques are even darker. All right, the Basques, the original Basques. Their language has a resemblance to the Finnic, as well as to some of the languages of the Red Men of the Pacific coast, and to the Gaelic in Ireland and Brittany. An ice age probably drove them south. Some few probably survived as cave dwellers, but the larger part perished. It says here the first inhabitants of southern Europe, northern Africa, Arabia, France, and the British Islands were a race of small men who did not average in height more than about 4 feet 5 inches. They were of slight build with dark complexion. They were cave dwellers, emanation from Lemuria, he says, all right? Lemuria. So a description of the western islands of Scotland containing full account of their situation, let's see, extent, soils, product, Harper's Bay. All right, and it keeps going. So this is from Martin, I believe his name is, and from 1716. All right, this book is from 1716. You can find it on archive.org. It says the inhabitants of this isle are generally well proportioned, and their complexion is for most part black. They are not obliged to art in forming their bodies, for nature never fails to act her part bountifully to them, and perhaps there is no part of the habitable globe where so few bodily imperfections are to be seen, nor any children that go more early. I have observed several of them walk alone before they were 10 months old. They are bathed all over every morning and evening. some in cold, some in warm water, but the latter is most commonly used, and they wear nothing straight about them. All right, they're talking about inhabitants of Scotland. All right, most part black. Again, so same book, a description of the western islands of Scotland, and we're talking about the Isle of Arran, or the island of Arran. It says the inhabitants of this isle are well proportioned, generally brown, and some of black complexion. They enjoy a good state of health and have a genius for all callings or employ. All right, brown or black complexion. In the Isle of Gigay, says the inhabitants are all Protestants. All right, Protestants. Remember that, Protestant. I've been tell you guys when I say Protestants, because a lot of the times I'll be like, oh, we had a shipload of Protestants come from Ireland or whatever. And we just, oh, a bunch of white people, right? That's what we're all assuming. And that's what I'm trying to help break that spell. The inhabitants are all Protestants and speak the Irish tongue generally, there being but a few that speak English. They are grave and reserved in their conversation. They are accustomed not to bury on Friday. They are fair or brown in complexion and use the same habit diet that is made use of the adjacent continent isles. All right. It says about a league further of the south. All right. So this is about the island of Judah. It almost sounds like the island of Judah. Just replace the R with a D. Judah. Says the natives here are very well proportioned, being generally black of complexion and free from bodily imperfections. They speak the Irish language and wear the plaid bonnet as other islanders. All right, the plaid. All right, they made that up. You know, that's that plaid clothing.
You know, so much of what is taught in history is just pure narrative, okay? And this guy, Eric July, you know, who I don't have any issues with, really, he's going to make a statement about the Vikings that is based off of narrative that people receive as fact. All right, I just wanted to put this clip before I go in to show you the proof. So we're going to play it.
Tokenized Asgardian, who is based off the whitest thing ever, Norse mythology. What the hell makes you think anything else is off limits? So like the original.
So he just said if they tokenize a Norse mythology character, which is the whitest thing ever, no sir. Which I'm gonna show you for the detractors that'll get on my comments clickety clacking. I'm gonna show you, but I'm gonna play one more clip, and then I'm gonna show the evidence, which is based on historical facts. Okay, so now this guy, known as Synthetic Man, he's gonna make the same statement, saying, "Oh, why did they put this black character in this Norse mythology. Again, for the detractors, just wait till I show you the evidence because it's coming. But let's see what he says.
Inside of Ironwood, this magical forest being protected by giant magic, and he meets our token black character for this game. Angrboda is a completely fucking pointless character. She does nothing of relevance in the plot except give Loki a bag of marbles. You cannot tell me with a straight face that this character wasn't added just for the sake of diversity. You know it was.
So she was added for the sake of diversity. Okay. Why? Wait.
Why, of all cultures, of all mythologies, would Northern Europe, possibly the whitest place on Earth, have black characters?
So he said, why would Northern Europe, possibly the whitest people ever, whatever he said, why would they have a black character? Well, you're going to find out again, like I told you earlier, that's narrative, okay? Because we're going to get some real history, okay?
Well, it doesn't matter because
Done.
I'm a bigot, Brett.
Peace to the 12. All right, let's get straight to it. Title of this video, Real Black Vikings. All right, we're going to be looking at this book. Thomas William Shore is the author's name. Thomas William Shore was a geoscientist born in April 1840. All right, he died January 1905. He wrote a book titled Origin of the Anglo-Saxons in 1906. All right, so I guess it published after his demise. Now, this is the book, Origins of the Anglo-Saxon Race. By the way, I got this, I found this on the internet, so you can find this book on the internet as a PDF, just saying. Nonetheless, let's see what's in this book that he wrote. All right, you're going to find out that he wrote about the so-called Black Vikings, okay? Let's go into it. Let's get to, this chapter is titled, in this book, this chapter of this book is titled, Our Darker Forefathers, okay? This is page 109. It reads, it is not probable that people who were originally designated by the color names brown, black, gray, or the like gave themselves these names. So people that were called brown, black, they didn't give themselves these names. They most likely received them from others. So these names, and I know a guy whose last name is Black, but now check this out. We're going to go through many pages of this book. It reads, the evidence concerning brown people in England during the Anglo-Saxon period, which can be derived from the place name Brun or Brune, either one, is supplemented by that supplied in at least some of the old place names, beginning with Dun or Dunning. Dun is an Old English word denoting a color, partaking of brown and black. All right? And where it occurs at the beginning of the words in such a combination as Dunning land, which would mean black land or brown land. That's what Dunning land would mean. Now check this out. It is possible that it refers to brown people or their children rather than to the Anglo-Celtic word dun, a hill or a fortified place. Now someone can say, well, see, maybe it just means a hill or a fortified place, man. You see, he gave reason of doubt. Well, guess what? Watch what he says in the yellow here. Well, at first, let me touch on this real quick. So he mentions some things about Dunn, right? Well, these are people, I just typed in famous people named Dunn. All right, this is the first one, British model, Jordan Dunn. All right, which would translate to Jordan Brown. Tila Dunn, Tila Brown. Okay? You see they're both so-called black women. Okay? Warwick Dunn, American football player. Crystal Dunn, American soccer. KD Dunn, American football player. Colton Dunn. You see that? So going back to when he said Dunn is an Old English denoting the color brown or black. And he said it was possible it was talking about brown people or their children. Hello. Now going down here, right? For those that still or whatever on the fence, we're going to go to the yellow. In the yellow it reads, as regard to
as regards the ancient brown race or races of North Europe. Now remember the clip I put in the beginning of this video is where he's got North Europeans got to be the whitest people in the world. Wait a minute. The ancient brown race or races of Northern Europe. There can be, now check this out, he says no doubt. There can be no doubt of their existence in the southeast of what? Of the southeast of Norway. And in the east of Friesland. There can be no doubt about the important influence which the old Wendish race has had in the northeastern parts of Germany and transmitting to their descendants a more brunette complexion, a brown complexion. Okay? So he's saying there can be no doubt that the old Wendish race went to parts of Germany and transmitted to descendants a more brunette complexion. Did you see that? Now look at this word brunette. For those of you that don't know, the word brunette has been changed through in history. Nowadays, when you hear the word brunette, you think of a woman, probably a so-called white woman with brown hair. But originally, brunette was a term that was towards someone's skin color, their complexion. I'm going to show you that. This is etymology, origin of word. That's what etymology means. Brunette, of a woman, dark in complexion, having a brownish tone to the skin and hair. Dark complexion. Brownish. All right. Dark complexion. So that means dark complexion. Now let's go to this dictionary. All right. So that's the etymology. Let's go to this dictionary. This is the American Dictionary of the English Language. Written by Noah Webster, 1828. So this is the 1828 version of the American Dictionary. This is the word brunette. Brunette. This is what a brunette meant in 1828. Brunette. A woman with a brown or dark complexion. You see that? So a woman with a brown or dark complexion, that's what a brunette means. So when this guy Thomas William Short said their descendants a more brunette complexion, that's what he's talking about. All right. We cannot reasonably doubt that in view of such survival of brown people as we find at the present in the provinces of North Holland, the ancient, Dreith, Overijssel, I can't really pronounce these words, which from the hinterland of the ancient Frisian country. All right. The survival of brown people. Now let's go down here, right? Numerous brunettes must have come into England among the Frisians. All right, brunette, brown-skinned people. All right, that's why I say we're not black. We're different shades of brown, as you see on this screen. It would be an unreasonable to doubt that this, as it would to think that during the Norwegian immigration into England, all the brown people, the what? The what? The brown people of Norway were precluded from, let's go down, page 110 now, precluded from leaving their country because they were brunettes. All right, once again, brown-skinned people. Or that the Wends who undoubtedly settled in England in considerable numbers were none of them of a brunette type. Now let's go down to here. The survival of some people with broad heads and a brown type in parts of Drenthe, Guderland, and Overijssel appears unmistakable. So it's unmistakable that you had brown people in these lands with broad heads. Read down. They present a remarkable contrast in appearance to their Frisian neighbors, who are of a different complexion in regards to hair and skin, and are specifically characterized as long-headed. All right, long heads. And you know, that's how you know. So the statements that people make about Norwegian equals blonde hair, blue eyed, hey, that notion is false. All right, that's a false notion. Anything else I wanted out of here before I keep going. I'll get this too, just cause down here, right? It reads, if the brunette character of the people of any part of England at the present time is due to a survival of the race characters of the Celts. Wait, he's talking about the Celts, the race characters of the Celts. Let's go down. Page 111. The British Bronze Age. And if the same character has been caused partly by people of a darker complexion and broad heads settling as immigrants among the fair-haired and long-headed Teutons in other parts of England, this racial character in both cases can be traced along different lines to the same distant source. All right, let me say this too. It's much deeper than that. See, what people like to do scripturally, because this is a scripture channel mainly, they like to say that Japheth is the so-called European of today. In other words, they like to say that Japheth is the so-called white man. False, okay? The original inhabitants of Europe were people of color in general, okay? So Japheth, that would mean Japheth by default is a person of color, okay? The people that live here now are not the original inhabitants. They are not aboriginal. They are not indigenous, okay? But that's a whole nother topic. But I'm gonna prove to you that yes, the original Europeans were dark skinned, okay? And I'm gonna prove that according to them, according to science. But let's read on to this. He mentioned the race characters of the Celts. All right, let's go down to here. The consideration of the evidence that people of a brunette complexion, we already proved that, were among the Anglo-Saxon settlers in England leads onto that of people of a still darker hue, the dark, black, or brown black settlers. See, you call them dark black and brown black settlers. All right. Anglo-Saxon settlers in England leads on to that. The Anglo-Saxon, we're going to get on this word Anglo-Saxon in a minute. All right. Probably these must have been some of these among the Anglo-Saxons. See, among the Anglo-Saxons. For we meet with the personal names Blackman, Blakeman, Blackaman, Blacksanu, Blackerman. All right. These words all derive from the term black. All right, which was a characteristics. Blackman obviously would mean what? Black man. Okay, now we're gonna go down to here. Which points to the settlers having come. I'm gonna read the full sentence. The place is called Blackmanstone in Dorset and Blackmanstone in Kent. Were on quite close to the coast, a circumstance which points to the settlers having come to these places by water rather than to a survival of black people of the old Celtic race. Black people of the old Celtic race having been left in them. You see that? So without a shadow of a doubt, we know this, man. Now I'm just doing laps at this point, man. See, like I told you in the beginning of the video, what I say. I stated that, which is a fact, that history that is taught today in mass is nothing but pure narrative. Okay? They use something known as artistic license, which allows you to give your point of view of history and not the factual point of history. Okay? But when you read old books, I always tell people to read older books. Older books are more forthright and more honest. Okay? Like the foundation of the old book that I use, obviously, is the Bible, which was written back in the days, man. But just old books in general. They're more factual. They're more honest. Okay? Now, let's keep going. I just wanted to point that out. This is page 112, and this is still the chapter, Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race. Now, we're going to go down to, it's still talking about Blake Swear, Norfolk, Blakeney, and all that, right? We're going to go down to here. It reads. Now, first, hold on. First, this is Heimdall, fictional character. Now, people were outraged when they made Heimdall was depicted as a so-called black man played by Idris Elba. People were in uproar. Well, certain people. All right, the Norse deity Heimdall but we just already proved that there was black people among the Vikings. Now, let's go down to here, right? That's what they don't tell you in history. Another circumstance connected with these names, which it is desirable to remember, is the absence of evidence to show that Old English ever called any of the dark complexioned Britons brown or black men. So there's absence of evidence that the Old English people called anybody black or brown. That's correct, because the terms black or brown are new terms. Like I always say, there is no such race as brown. There is no such race as black. Okay? Race comes back to the word seed. All right? Depending on the seed of man is what determines your race. Okay? So when he says that in Old English, no one of darker complexion was ever called brown or black, that's correct. All right? But he's also about to tell you what they were called. Their name for them was Wallace. So their name for the brown and black men, their name for them was Wallace. I'm actually going to get this because I'll tell you what this word Wallace comes back to, right? 1 second. I'm going to get it because I think it's pertinent. Give me 1 second. Wallace. I type in this word on Google. Boom. Now watch this. Let's see, look, it's trying to. There we go. See this word Wallace? Now that's the word he used, right? He said Wallace. Or Weelas, however you pronounce it. Well, what is Weelas? A Welsh person, a Celt. All right? Sounds like the black people of the old Celtic race. Coming down to here, coming back. Their name for them was Weelas. All right, their name for who? Their name for the dark complexioned Britons, brown men or black men. You see? Reading down. So far as I am aware, not a single instance occurs in which the Welsh are mentioned in any Anglo-Saxon document as brown or black, or as black or brown people. On the contrary, now watch this. The Welsh annuals mention black Vikings. Ding, ding. Black Vikings. On the coast, as if they were men of an unusual personal appearance. Now check this out. There is another old word used by the Anglo-Saxons to denote black or brown. So the Anglo-Saxons use the words to denote black or brown. They did not use the words black or brown, but this is the word they used. The word was swart. Swart. All right, swart. Now we're going to go to this word, swart, which goes to the word swarthy. This word swart. Let's go to swarthy. All right, swart, black, dark, of skin color. Dark colored, black, dirty, black, dark. See that? Swart. The word was swart. The personal names Seward and Swart may have been derived from this word. And I'll tell you what else was derived from this word. The word what? Stewart. All right. From this word, it may have originally denoted people of a dark brown or black complexion. Some names of this kind are mentioned in the Domesday record of Buckinghamshire and Lincolnshire. These may be the Scandinavian origin for the eke name or nickname Swarty. All right, now you see this word Swarty. We're going to come through this in a minute. We're going to come to this word. Remember this word Swarty. We're coming back to that. It's found in the northern sagas. Halfdan the Black, this man's name was Halfdan the Black, was the name of a king of Norway who died in 863 AD. All the way back then, a black king, Halfdan, the Black King of Norway, back in 863 AD. The so-called black man, he even used the word I use, so-called black man of the Anglo-Saxon period probably included some of the darker Wendish people among them. Immigrants or descendants of people of the same race as the ancestors of Sorbs of Lusatia. Now, when it says Sorbs of Lusatia, That's in the German region. I'm going to prove that real quick. All right. Swords of Lusatia. That's in the German region. All right. Meaning what? You had so-called black and brown people in the German regions. All right. Swords of Lusatia. Sorbs are an indigenous West Slavic ethnic group predominantly inhabiting the parts of Lusatia located in the German states of Saxony and Brandenburg. Okay? Now, going back. All right, Swarty. All right, I already went to the word swart. Let's get some more on swarthy. This goes back to the 1800 definition of the dictionary. Swarthy, being of a dark hue or dusky complexion. We're going to see this word dusky again. Tawny, in warm climates, the complexion of men. Universally, swarthy or black. The Moors, Spaniards, and Italians are more swarthy than the French, German, and English. You see that? So yeah, you did have some swarthy Spaniards and Italians. And Moors. You also had swarthy Germans. We proved that. You know, I have to get into what Ben Franklin said one time. All right, I have to get into that on one point. I'll do a video on that. But yeah, man, you know, like I said, I'm just doing laps at this point. I've been proved it. All right, swart of skin color. Now, I told you we was coming back to this word right here, right? Swarty. This word is Swarty. We're going to come back to it. There's a place, all right, in the Norse mythology, there's a place called Svartalheim, all right? It's called Svartalheim in the Norse world of the 9 realms. It's a place called Svartalheim, which means black home. All right, now let's get into this word Svartalheim. Now, we saw this word Svart already. Scandinavian origin. The nickname Swarty. Okay? Now, let's go down to here. Svartalheim. Let's check this out. Another word for Svartalheim was Svartofar. In Norse cosmology, Svartofar, the home, the black elves. You see that? The black elves. Swarthy elves. Svartofar, also called Murkofar, dark elves, dusky elves. Remember, swarthy, dusky complexion. Dusky elves, murky elves, are beings who dwell in Svartalheim, home of the black elves. Scholars have noted that Svartofar appears to be synonymous with the dwarves and potentially also Dokofar. All right, now when you think this word dwarves, right? Look no further than the so-called pygmy people. Look them up. Look up the pygmy people. Could they be where they get the origin of dwarves from? But yeah, the home of the dark elves, home of the black elves, home of the dusky elves. Svart. All right, Svart comes back to black. Now, and even in the movie Thor. Even in the second movie, Thor, who did he go against? He went against the black elves, the dark elves, right? In the realm of Svartalheim. Okay? Now, in Marvel Comics, since we're going on Marvel topic, now in Marvel Comics, the dark elves are depicted as blue-skinned people. So they're depicted as blue-skinned people in Marvel Comics. But you're going to find out that blue-skinned people are in relation to so-called black people as well. I'm going to prove that. All right? This is theguardian.com. It reads, blue is no longer a person of color added to the Irish lexicon. So back in the day, blue was in relation to a person of color. All right, now you look at this person. He's what you would call blue-black. I just wanted to add that picture in there. All right, now check this out. Blue skin and black people have something in common, okay? Now look at this. It reads, now this is from this article. It reads, the Irish language has long wrestled with the description of people who are not white. And fear dub could refer to a man of any color with black hair or black skin. Black skin. Black skin. When capitalized, fear dub has also feared to refer to the devil. Yeah, they demonize a so-called black person. As a matter of fact, you go to this word sword. What did it say? Wicked. You know, just throwing it out there. That's why you shouldn't call yourself black, because it's an insult. But nonetheless, for generations, Irish speakers used an odd alternative. Dwayne Gorm, blue person. All right, black skin. Now look, Dwayne Gorm means blue person. And what they use it for? To indicate people who were not white. Other use Dwayne Date to mention a colored person. One version evoked creatures from the film Avatar. The film Avatar, right? New movie just came out. The other echo language associated with apartheid in South Africa. Now, the guardians of the Irish language have entered a new term in the National Terminology Database, Dwayne de Dwath, person of color. So now they're changing the terms. But originally the term Dwayne Gorm was for a person of color. Okay? Someone with black hair or black skin. Okay, now let's go to this book, History of the Middle Ages, by John M. Riddle. All right, History of the Middle Ages. I'm going to go down to the part that's highlighted. Shout out to the brother One Chosen for sending me this book. All right, Vikings in Iberia. This part, I'm going to go to the highlighted part. Thwarted in Muslim Spain, the Vikings raided the shores of northern Africa, where they rounded up large numbers of what they called blue men and black men. So they called them blue men and black men. Blue men and black men on the shores of northern Africa. You see that? And sold them as slaves in Ireland and elsewhere. You know, and the Vikings were known as being, you know, raiders, pillagers, slavers. You know, Vikings were pirates, really. And really anybody could be a Viking, because after they raided you, some people got propositions. All right, but it says what? They called them blue men and black men. So now you understand why the dark elves are depicted as blue, and they dwell in black land, aka Svartalheim. Okay? Now, let's go to this. Now, they didn't call North Africa at this time. What did the Vikings call North Africa? Well, the Vikings called North Africa Blaland, the old Norse world. They called it Blaland. All right, Blaland meaning blue. All right, and this is what it reads. Blamen. Now, you can't read this in English. All right, you see the word negre comes back to black. Svart comes back to black. But you can't really read this unless you know the language. Now, watch this. I'm finna Google translate it. But first, it says Blamen, right? Blah. Origin. Old Norse. Blah means black. So a Blamen would be a black man. Blah. Black. Blar. Blue. Dark. Black. Okay? Now let's translate this. Blamen. Let's translate what this reads in Wikipedia. Let's translate this. It's translated from Norwegian to English. Blamen, plural, in Norse. Blamor was the name of the Old Norsemen for people with dark skin, i.e. Negroes and Moors and North Africans. The word is used among other things in folk songs from the Middle Ages. Blue could previously mean blue, dark blue, and black. All right, so blue and black, as far as regards to a person, are synonymous. Okay? So that's Svartalheim. There's another realm. There's another realm of the 9 realms called Jotunheim, or Jotunheim, however you pronounce it. I'm going to call it Jotunheim, right? Well, Jotunheim is home of the ice giants, or the frost giants. Jotunheim, sometimes referred to as Utgard, is the realm of the giants and frost giants located near both Asgard and Midgard. Now you have the ice giants. The ice giants are blue people as well. All right, we already proved that blue and black synonymous when talking about people. Frost giants, Marvel database. All right, now here's a picture of frost giants from the Marvel database. This dude even looks like a so-called African. All right, just with blue skin, with a spear. You see that? And I believe in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they made Loki an ice giant. But he hid himself with so-called white skin. All right, now let's get some more on blue people. This is from another author named David MacRitchie. He wrote a 2-part series known as Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1 and Volume 2. David McRitchie was born in 1851. He died in 1925. Like I said, pay attention to these older books. All right? A lot of them are more forthright and honest. Okay? So, going down here, right? Ancient and Modern Britons, page 47. Let's read what page 47 reads. A complementary witness with Morris is Gorm, found to the names of Highland and other chiefs and kings. This word is given in the Gaelic dictionaries as signifying blue, of whatever shade, also green as grass, and as this recalls the fact that the indigenous tribes, the indigenous tribes, indigenous meaning original inhabitant, described by Caesar were styled by Verdes, which means green, and Ceruli, which means blue. So the indigenous tribes were called green and blue. Well, we already know what that blue part means. From the woad with which they stain their bodies, the color of which may come under either of these headings. Accordingly, when one looks again into the Gaelic dictionary, one finds that Gorman is woad. Plainly, therefore, a man who is titled Gorm is a woad-stained man. Now, although in the Gaelic of Scotland, a Negro is known as Dwayne Dub, a black man. He is known in the Gaelic of Ireland as Dwayne Gorm, a blue, green, or woad-stained man. So a black man in Scotland, in Ireland, they refer to him as a Dwayne Gorm, which means a blue, green, or woad-stained man, which is synonymous with a black man. And while in the Scottish Highlands, the adjective gloss is used to signify both swarthy, there's that word again, and green. In Wales, it has the meaning of green or blue, and in the latter country, Gaelic Gorm, here spelled Gorm, is equivalent to brown, black. All right, brown man, black man, green, blue, woad-stained man. Why? Because they dyed their skin blue with paints. What possible explanation for all this apparent confusion of terms can there be? Now check this out. So we're saying, what could this mean? Except the patent one that a brown-skinned man and a woad color man are what? One and the same. So a brown-skinned man and a woad color man, or green or blue, are one and the same. You see that? The color of woad. He doubles down on his findings in page 136. It was in page 136. He says it again. It was noticed some chapters back that Dwayne Dub, a black man, and Dwayne Gorm, a blue man or woad-stained man, were one and the same. So the blue man and the black man are one and the same. So the dark elves, aka the black elves, are one and the same. Okay? All right, now you understand why. Now you understand why movies like Avatar and Guardians of the Galaxy, they have a so-called woman of color play this blue-skinned woman, as well as Gamora, the green-skinned woman. Again, what? Blue or woad-stained is the same as a black man, but you can also throw in the term green. Now you understand why they have depict certain things. Now you understand why Martian Manhunter, the green man, is often depicted as a so-called black man. Now you understand why they had a so-called black man play Kang the Conqueror in the new MCU. Now you understand. All right, now I just want to touch on this too, the term Viking. Another word for them was the Danes. All right, like I'll do another video separately of this, but the Danes come back to the tribe of Dan. Okay, the tribe of Dan in the Bible. Okay? They were also called the Anglo-Saxons. All right, Anglo-Saxon. Now the origins of the Saxons are that they're the descendants. They're Israelites. The term Anglo-Saxon literally means son of Isaac. All right, that's what it means. I'll do another video on that. But yeah, I'm just gonna go down to here. Now y'all can screen cap this if y'all want to read it yourself. But I'm gonna do a separate video proving that Anglo-Saxon means the sons of Isaac, and that yes, the Anglo-Saxons, there were Israelites among the Anglo-Saxons. This is undoubtedly what. Hold on. The sons of Isaac. This is undoubtedly what has happened in regard to the Isaac sons, Sac sons. The I has been dropped, and the basic part of the word sock or sack has been retained. Son simply means son of. So the word sac son means son of Isaac. Sons of Isaac. See that? Historical sources proven that Saxon derives from the sons of Sac or the sons of Sock, meaning sons of Isaac. The sons of Isaac. But I'm going to get into that in a later time. Okay? Now let's get into some Psy News. Psy News says what? Vikings weren't all Scandinavian. Ancient DNA study shows. Like I told you, anybody could have been a Viking. You just joined the team. I just want to give a shout out to my sources for inspiring me to do this video. Realhistory.com, realhistorywww.com. One Chosen, he did a video called Black Gods, Blue Skin. Aliyah, Avery Yasharel, he inspired me, and Chronicles of Judah 144. I just want to give a quick shout out to them brothers. But yeah, man. Vikings weren't all Scandinavian. Ancient DNA study shows. All right, let's read this real quick. In popular imaginations, Vikings were fearsome blonde-haired warriors from Scandinavia. See, that's in the imagination. That's why Eric July made the statement. That when he said in the beginning of the video where he was like, oh, they tokenize the most whitest people, because he thinks that they're all blonde-haired warriors from Scandinavia who use longbows to carry out raids across Europe in brief but bloody reign of terror. But the reality is much more complex. According to an analysis of the genomes, 442 ancient humans from archaeological sites in Scandinavia, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Iceland, Greenland, Estonia, Ukraine, Poland, and other Eastern Europe companies made up the Vikings, okay? Now, going to this, right? This is the actual scientific study. Population genomics of the Viking world. Let's go down to the highlighted part. All right? This is, by comparing Viking Scandinavian genomes with present-day Scandinavian genomes, we find that pigmentation associated Loki, the brother of Thor, Loki, have undergone strong population differentiation during their last millennia. Let's go to this word Loki or Lochi. Let's go to this word. Science. Loki associated with skin pigmentation identified in African populations. All right, Loki, Viking, Loki. Viking Scandinavian genomes associated with Loki or Lochi. You see that? Vikings weren't all Scandinavian. Ancient DNA shows. Okay? Now, there's somebody you brothers can look up called Cheddar Man. Like I said, I'm running laps. I bet could have finished this video. Called Cheddar Man. Look him up. It says Cheddar Man is a human male fossil found in Goff's Cave and Cheddar Gorge. And this is what they say Cheddar Man looked like. Cheddar Man with dark skin and blue eyes. Dark skin and blue eyes. The oldest complete skeleton to be discovered in the UK. So the oldest UK skeleton was a dark-skinned man with blue eyes. All right? And you can Google people, black people with blue eyes. They exist. All right? Britain's dark-skinned, blue-eyed ancestor. You see that? You see that? Now, they try to tell you that the so-called white man, yeah, they eventually came from him, but they try to say he evolved. No, sir. No, he didn't. Okay? I got to do a whole nother video on so-called evolution. All right, and the falsehoods that are that are located within that theory. But look, I just typed in Google. The first Europeans were black. Watch this. This is what Google said. The archaeological, anthropological, and genetic evidence indicated that the first Europeans were dark-skinned sub-Saharan Africans who carried mtDNA, haplogroup N and Y chromosome C6 into Europe. So they tell you it's without a doubt the first Europeans were black. Now, yet people don't say that. Your average person, they don't say that. When they think of a European, they think of a so-called Caucasian. All right, I Googled it, right? The first modern Britons, dark to black skin, about 10,000 years ago. Europeans were dark skinned until 8,000 years ago. Now look, how Europeans evolved white skin. So they try to say they evolved white skin. Well, let me tell you something. This evolutionary theory of this sense is rooted in racism. It's rooted in racism. You might say, what are you talking about? This is how Europeans evolved white skin. Well, what does this word evolved mean? Evolve, etymology. Remember, etymology, origin of word, evolve. To develop by natural processes to a higher state. All right, so they're saying they left behind the black skin they went to a higher state. Yes, evolution is rooted in racism. I will do a video on evolution at some point. All right, which is why the racial term, well, hold on, which is why they say you came from monkeys, right? I had a friend, shout out to the brother Trey. I had a friend. He went to SAC, which is like where you go to you do something bad, because a substitute teacher, looked at him, and yes, Trey's a so-called black man. He looked at him and he said, "Hey, you're 99% monkey." And Trey was offended, and he cussed him out, and he got in trouble for it, right? Now, the word evolve means to develop by natural process to a higher state. So they saying they evolved, meaning they transcended. They went to a higher state, developing the white skin. That's what they try to teach. They didn't evolve at all, man. All right, and another thing, like I said, he said you're 99% monkey. Now, a racial term that they use to call so-called black people is what? They call them monkeys. Comparing black people to the monkeys has a long, dark simian history. All right? And this makes me think of the Mishnah. All right? The Mishnah, which is taught in Judaism. The Mishnah tells you, is racist as well, because it tells you that a black person has a higher intelligence than a monkey, but less than of a man. So he's in between. All right, and remember they had this famous, there was a famous controversy where they had this so-called black man wear a shirt that said "coolest monkey in the jungle." All right, and even when I play Call of Duty, they always make monkey sounds and call me a monkey and the N-word, right? All right, the first man was black. It says, yes, the first humans were black in accordance to science and ancient texts. Were the first humans black? Yes, the first humans were almost certainly black. First modern Britons, dark skin. Early modern Briton, dark skin, light eyes. The first white man was black. All right, like I said, evolution. And evolution is rooted in racism. Look. All right, like I said, they call us monkeys as a racial slur. And even when you look at this chart, you have these dark-skinned parts of people, and they evolve into what? The so-called white man. They evolve to the so-called white man, which the term evolve means a natural process to a higher state. They show you an evolution, right? So this man comes from the so-called black man, but this is not an evolution. It is a mutation. It is a mutation. All right, and to prove it's a mutation and not an evolution, this occurrence still occurs. I'm gonna get into this in deeper detail when I do a video on evolution. But look, mystery as a Nigerian couple gives birth to a white baby. See, he's a white baby with blonde hair. These are his parents. Black couple gives birth to a white baby. These are her parents. Woman gave birth to black and white twins. Yeah, Jacob and Esau. Yeah, Jacob and Esau in the Bible, man. All right? So it's not an evolution. It's a mutation. Okay? I'm ending with this, man. I'm ending with this. Back to God of War. Now you understand why they do things in code. They had a so-called black man play T.C. Carson. T.C. Carson played the voice for Kratos in the video game of God of War. I think it was God of War 1 through 3. And I believe it was also those PSP games. So that so-called black man played Kratos, right? Now the new voice actor for God of War Ragnarok, as well as God of War the reboot, which has who? They have another so-called black man playing Kratos, right? And the body position, the guy who is the body position for the model of Kratos, at least the new one, the 2018 version, is played by a man. He was played by, the body double was a pro wrestler named Shad. You guys probably remember him in the WWE. He was like about money. Yeah. So Shad was the guy they used to play the double of God of War. Why are they using the so-called black man's physique to play God of War? Why are they using a black man's voice? I'll tell you, because they know. They're in the know. All right, I got to do a video on the Spartans too, because, yeah, that's a whole nother topic. So my point has been proven, man. And with that, I say peace to the 12. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, man. All right, we exposing everything, man. And I say shalom, which means peace to you people that's listening and learning, to you brothers that's doing this work in truth and sincerity, and to you elders that's been doing this thing before me, man. Keep pushing. We're going to get up out of here. Keep speaking the truth. Knowledge is power. Gone.
Burger. Arby's get it right. Burger.
In the Irish annals, the Black Vikings are called Dub Genti, or the Black Gentiles. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you guys an amazing book. These books I'm going to show you guys today are going to blow some of your minds, okay? Before I get started, I want you guys to remember that you can support this channel by joining my membership, by hitting the join button below. Anything you guys donate to my channel, I'm going to use it to get more books so I can review more of our hidden history, okay? The true history of the Negroes, the Israelites, guys. That's what I'm going to be doing with any amount of money that you guys donate to my channel. So please go over right now and make a donation. So let's get started with the video. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about more evidence of whitewashed history, guys. Okay, today I want to focus on Europe, guys. Yes, whenever we watch TV, we watch Hollywood or the History Channel, that lying source of false history, we are always shown a version of history where everyone in Europe has always been Caucasian. This is a filthy lie pushed by the Edomite race. Who am I talking about? Who are these Edomite race? Well, today we call them the Caucasian race, aka the white race, guys. Okay, very powerful stuff. So the book we're about to look at is called The Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race. Let's go there. Okay, so here is the front page of the book, Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race, guys. This was published in the year, let me zoom in so we can see the year. In the year 1906, guys, okay, over 100 years ago. We're going to page 113. I want you guys to see something about the people that we know as the Vikings, guys, okay? Because in TV, we are always being presented with an image of the Vikings as Caucasians, right? Every movie that has Vikings, Caucasians. Every video game, like the recent Assassin's Creed video game that came out maybe a few years back. What were the Vikings? Caucasians. I'm going to prove to you right now that this is false history, guys, okay? So page 113, let's see what it says. Okay, let's look at the highlighted portion on this page. This is page 113. Very important stuff about history, guys, okay? You will only get true history by reading these old books. Don't worry about Hollywood. Hollywood is a propaganda center for Caucasian lies, okay? That may offend some of you who are Caucasians hearing that, but from everything that I have seen in history, that is what it is, guys. Nothing good is in Hollywood movies or those History Channel documentaries or any other documentary from BBC or all those other Caucasian sources of media. I'm sorry. You cannot trust it. I don't care if you're a Negro or a Caucasian. If you want to learn real history, you can't be watching that stuff. It's not good for you. You're going to have to look at these old books, okay? The history is there. So let's see what it says right here on the screen, guys. Look at this. The invasion of the coast of the British Isles. The British Isles is part of the Celtic Islands, okay? The invasion of the coast of the British Isles by Vikings of dark or black complexion. Guys, what is the meaning of the word complexion? American Dictionary of the English Language. This book was published in the year 1828. This is volume 1, okay? I want us to see the definition of the word complexion in this book, okay? You can see complexion right here. Complexion means what? The color of the skin. particularly of the face, the color of the external part of the body or thing. Basically, when it comes to the human body or the body of any object, it has to do with the color of that thing. Okay, there you have it, guys. Complexion means what? The color of the skin or the body of a thing, guys. Okay, so if you're a black complected, it's telling you that you're a dark skinned person. Okay, one thing that I've learned from reading these old books is that Caucasians are usually called either pale complexion or fair complexion. Those are the two labels that you will see a Caucasian being described as, guys. When you see dark or black complexion, you are talking about a dark-skinned, melanated man, okay? Like myself and people who are even darker than myself, okay? But let's keep going. Let's see what this says. I'm going to read it again. The invasion of the coast of the British Isles by Vikings of a dark or black complexion rests on historical evidence, which is too circumstantial to admit of doubt. In the Irish annals, the Black Vikings are called Dub Genti, or the Black Gentiles. Why? Because they were black people. Okay, let's keep going. These Black Gentiles, on some occasions, fought against other plunderers on the Irish coasts, known as the what? The Fair Gentiles. Who are these Fair Gentiles? Caucasians, okay? Who can hardly have been others than the what? The Fair Danes or Northmen, okay? So it's telling you about Fair Danes. I'm going to show you guys later on that even among the Danes, they were black people too. But I'll show you guys that one maybe in a different video, guys, okay? But let's keep going, okay? So it's telling you that these Fair Danes were being plundered by who? By the Black Vikings. Black Vikings that Hollywood will never show you on TV because they want to push white supremacy version of history, guys. Okay, they will never tell you about these black people who are all over Europe. But let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going. These Black Gentiles, on some occasions, fought against other plunderers on the Irish coasts, known as the Fair Gentiles, who can hardly have been others than the Fair Danes or the Northmen. In the year 851, the Black Gentiles, the Black Vikings, came to Atalia, Dublin, guys, Dublin. Okay, even that word Dublin, there is a clue there that the people from Dublin are actually a swarthy people. I believe Dublin means, I think it's black land or land of the black, something like that, guys. But let's keep going. In 1852, we are told that 8 ships of the Fingetti arrived and fought against the Dub Genti. Dub, when you see Dub, the word Dub means what? Black. Dub Genti. Genti means Gentile, so Black Gentile for 3 days. And that the Dub Genti, the Black Gentiles, were victorious. The Black Vikings appear at the time to have had a settlement in or close to Dublin. Of course they would. Dublin is literally the land for black people, Black Vikings, Dub Genti, Black Gentile. Oh man, guys, okay? And during the 9th century, were much in evidence on the Irish coast, okay? They were much in evidence on the Irish coast. I mean, there were many of these Dub Genti, these Black Gentiles, these Black Vikings on the Irish coast, guys. These are Celtic people, black Celtic people that the Caucasian race don't want the world to know exists, guys. It's time for us to wake up, guys. It's time for us to wake up. Okay, so you need to listen to this, guys. We're on page 112 of the very same book. I want you guys to see this because a lot of people are always complaining and fighting with me that black complexion or swarthy complexion does not mean black person. Well, look at this, guys. Look at this. Another circumstance connected with these names, which it is desirable to remember, is the absence of evidence to show that the Old English ever called any of the darker complexion Breton, brown men or black men. Listen to this, guys. Their name, the name of these dark complexion people for them was Welas. So far as I am aware, not a single instance occurs in which the Welsh are mentioned in any Anglo-Saxon document as black or brown people. On the contrary, the Welsh annals mention Black Vikings on the coast as if they were men of unusual personal appearance. Okay, so listen to this now. There is another old word used by Anglo-Saxons to denote black or brown black people, okay? The word was what? Swart, guys. The personal names Stuart and Swart may have been derived from this word and may have originally denoted people of what? Dark brown or black complexion. Very powerful. So when you see the word swart, which is an evolution of the word Stuart, you need to recognize that these words were used for what? People of dark brown or black complexion. What is complexion? The color of your skin or a body or a thing, guys. Very powerful stuff. This is something that we need to realize, okay? These black people, they were described as being swart. So when you're reading all these old books and you're hearing about a person who has a swarty complexion, they are talking about these people, these dark brown or black people, okay? Negro looking people, Negroes most of the time, let's be honest, okay? Very powerful stuff. Now